Thanks for joining us today on the RETSY podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Morrison. Today, Chris and I are sitting down with RETSY agent Jose Reyes. Let's get into it.
It was March of 2020. Yep. I had just sold my first house. I bought my second home, so I put, a good down payment down. My mortgage payment just went up. I put a big down payment, so I didn't have a ton of money put away. I have a 3-month-old daughter. I just told my parents, hey, guys, at the time I was like, hey, I'm going to leave this job. I'm going to go work full-time in real estate now because I see a future for myself in that industry. And that same week, the world shut down.
Yeah.
And I said, holy shit. Oh my gosh, what did I just do? I just made a huge mistake. I just lost my safe, reliable pay. There's no one to push me. It's just all me. And for me, that was the sink or swim moment.
Well, Jose, thank you for joining us for the RETSY podcast. We have Jose Reyes today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for making the time and coming down here.
Is this mic okay? Distance-wise?
Yeah. I think you're good.
You got good sound. Yeah, I'm excited to have you in the hot seat, dude. We've known each other for a long time, but Matthew's got some really good questions for you today.
Well, and Matthew and I have we go back, but you and I don't. And so I'm excited to get to know you and you get to know me.
Yeah. So, I feel like I know most of the answers to these, but, obviously for the audience and for Chris, and just kind of want to learn more about you and your business. So, I know I already know this, but what did you do before real estate?
Well, I've really only had 3 jobs, believe it or not. I've sold tacos, I've sold cars, and now I'm selling houses. And so right immediately before real estate, I was in the automotive industry. And, that's where I learned my sales skills, my communication skills, the work ethic was always instilled in me, but systems, being, discipline and all that good stuff that comes with sales. And then before that, I really started working at the age of 13, believe it or not. My parents do not believe in child labor laws. They had me working at the restaurant. I was flipping tortillas. I started working as a young teenager all my weekends throughout high school. Right after high school, they took advantage. And they underpaid me as any parents.
Wait, you got paid when you were 14? You could mow the lawn.
That mean you guys are getting paid?
Oh, yeah. I don't think they paid me back then, but during high school, I definitely made them. I was like, hey, I got to get an allowance, and they're like, oh, here's $100 for your 40 hours.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite 40 hours, but those are the 3 jobs that I've done, really. And so I think I landed on my favorite one so far, though, and I don't think I plan on changing this anytime soon.
A lot of freedom in real estate.
Yeah. Well, that's honestly the main reason why I got into it, because what really inspired me to get into real estate was, as you can probably assume, in the car industry, we work a ton of hours.
Oh, yeah.
And I was not in any position at that time to want to clock in, clock out, be in the same building with the same people under the same management, and have basically no life. At the time, I was a new father. You both have kids. You remember your first one. You are freaking out. You're like, oh my gosh, how do you do this? How does it work? Am I doing the right thing? Am I spending enough time with my kids? And so all those thoughts went through my head when my daughter was born in February. And so soon after that, I realized, hey, I really want more time. I want more time. I don't want to miss out those special moments when they're crawling, when they're walking, when they're saying their first few words. And so that was kind of the inkling that got me into the business. I wanted to have the flexibility to make my own schedule. Looking back, now I laugh at myself because little did I know that if you wanted to be really successful, you're not going to have any time. You're going to be working your ass off nonstop. And I did. But, 5 years later, 6 years now with this year, now I have that flexibility. Now I can go drop off my daughter every day at school. I pick her up every once in a while, and then I get to see I work from home now, and I see my new baby all day, and so that in itself has been it sealed the envelope for me as to real estate and why I want to stick doing this moving forward.
It's truly the only industry where it's just as long as you're giving that level of service or answering the phone, right? It's really, I tell a lot of agents this, and I've probably even said this on the podcast, but it's if you do one thing in this industry, that's just answer your phone, respond to people, you can have an immense amount of success, but you can do it from anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know I've taken calls from Zurich, Switzerland with a client. Then they think I'm here working.
Yeah, they don't know.
Probably shouldn't say that on this podcast, but like, you know, I can be in Hawaii, I can be anywhere, you know, but, you know, having the team and the systems behind you allows you to have a lot of freedom. And that's what's great about this industry. So Matt and I were hiking Camelback this morning. I think we're going to make that a thing.
Yeah.
Well, not in the next
How long
couple
did it
months.
take you to get up?
Well, if I didn't have Matt behind me.
Yeah, I definitely.
Matt was carrying you.
No.
He hikes more on than you do.
No, I definitely hike a lot, but Camelback is way different than Thunderbird Mountain. And
it's about a half an all-in podcast.
Do the Echo Canyon side?
no, Choya Trail.
It is Choya.
Okay.
Yeah, I did Choya. I think all in is 68 minutes to the
So it's
saddle.
about-
It's not too bad.
so.
It's not too bad.
Yeah. But we were chatting and I'm like, you know, like, tell me about Jose and this and that. And he was saying like, you did something like 26 deals your first year.
Yeah. My very first full year in real estate, I did 31 transactions.
See, that to me is incredible. I mean,
I think I've met maybe one agent who's ever done that. I can't say I've.
No, I mean, because most people get their real estate license, right? And they get their business cards and they go, like me, I was with Century 21, right? Because that's what you did back when we had fax machines and beepers. But that's...
You're really showing your age there, Chris.
I've been doing this for a bit. But I mean, like those first 5 years, it is so hard to get business. And you have to go to the best in the industry and learn from them. I mean, I remember my own parents wouldn't use me for real estate for the first like 5 years, I feel like it. And it just took a while to get established, right? But you came out of the gates and crushed it with that many deals. Like, what do you think the difference was?
Well, I was part-time for 6 months. And in that time, I was juggling, you know, my safe and reliable 9 to 5. And I was also doing real estate on the side. And one of the biggest things that I think really helped me in this industry, especially in the beginning, is having the sales experience from the automotive industry. You know, there's a bad rep in the automotive industry, and most of it is true, but there's a lot of good stuff in there as well. Systems, processes, tracking your numbers, knowing your numbers, seeing where you're going, how you're going to get there. If you're falling behind on one part, what do we do to elevate that part? Is it the phone calls? Is it conversion? Is it not enough open houses? And so, like, when I came into this industry, I created a system, and it was literally Google Sheets. It was like, here's what we're going to do. Here's how I'm going to do it. Here's where my clients are going to go. And I remember at my first brokerage, which was a small boutique one that I went and worked at where my realtor worked at. So I just went there because of familiarity. I didn't know anyone in the industry. And I had my laptop open, and I had that pop, you know, on my screen. And one of the veterans right next to me was like, what is that? Who taught you that? How do you do this? This is incredible. Like, how did you? And I did it myself. I mean, it took me a few days, a few weeks actually. But if you don't, for me, it's like if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. And so I see it every day, even till today. Well, now I've transitioned over to Lofty, but it's what helped me stay extremely disciplined in the very beginning. That's like the back end stuff. On the front end stuff, I grew up here. I'll admit I had a little bit of an edge there because I always got along with everybody. And throughout high school, and I mean, I was the senior class president by accident. I never intended it. I literally threw my name out there, and then I won. And I was like, oh, shit, I got to go do something now. I just wanted to see if I could win, and then I did. And then I won by like a landslide, and I'm like, oh, crap. But I got along with everybody. I really am quite the chameleon with any kind of background, demographic, age group, like you name it. I can find common ground with most people. And so I was always just a really good guy. You know, just like Matt, I always, you know, got along with everybody, was honest, took care of people. I was kind of a little bit of a party animal in high school, and then those days kind of slowly went away. But through that, I built a bunch of relationships, and I stayed in contact with those relationships through Facebook. And so I know that today, realtors love Instagram. I'm one of them as well. I use it a lot, but I think too many are sleeping on Facebook because Facebook is a little bit of an older demographic now. And so you have people who are able to buy and people that are, I don't know, in my own opinion, my second year where I sold 47 homes, 14 of those came from Facebook.
Wow.
Just a DM. Jose, we're looking to buy. We're looking
just
to sell.
Telling your story on Facebook.
Yeah, I was constantly posting, showing what I was doing. I'm a big believer that people want to work with realtors who are busy, and so I always like to share what I'm doing, whether it's an inspection, going under contract.
Your second year, you did 47 homes, so you're really busy.
Yeah, I mean, that's almost 4 a month, and I was solo. Did I have a TC back? I did have a TC, but
Yeah,
that
'cause
was really it.
That was the first almost full year at RETSY, right?
Which one? The 47?
Year 2.
Yeah, year 2 was, year 2
yeah.
was my first full year at RETSY. That's right.
Yeah.
And it was nuts. I mean, looking back, I'm like, how did I do that? And how did I not like lose all my hair? Like, this is insane. But it's just because I had a system. You know, I would get a lead. I know pretty much what to go through the steps, and I just put them through that steps, did my thing with my personality that has worked really well for me, and then we quickly converted on our clientele, you know, and found the perfect properties as quickly as we could for the best deals. Granted, yes, it was during the COVID market, and I've had realtors take that away from me and saying like, oh, well, that was during COVID. That's why you did so well. And I'm like, well, COVID helped, but I worked my ass off. I mean, I was up early. I was working super late, didn't have any days off for God knows how many months. But looking back, that experience has now built my clientele. And so now I have all those clients that I've helped in the past refer me their family, their neighbors, their friends, and it's really become the foundation of my business.
I know I've referred you friends in neighborhoods you specialize in, and they love you. They're like, you know, they don't call me anymore after they're referred to you, which is exactly what I would expect out of the relationship, you know. You know, because you'll find different agents have different specialties in different areas, and you know a lot of neighborhoods really, really well, and then some have their specific neighborhoods they stay within. And I think that's why a lot of RETSY agents trust you and refer to you, is like, they know Jose is going to take great care of my client. The house is going to close. The client's not going to be upset about anything. And, you know, you have enough experience to where it's like you can diffuse situations. And I've seen you mentor some great agents and, you know, and build a team and also move markets too. So I guess my question for you, that second year at RETSY, gosh, I forget. Yeah. Cause I mean, you guys were together at a previous brokerage, Boomerang, right?
Yeah. Cause we normally ask what attracted you to RETSY. And so
you didn't really have a choice. You're like,
well, I like to think you didn't have a choice,
Jose,
but you
grabbed me by the shirt and said, get over here. No, that's not, I mean, my case is a little bit different, right? Because
you could have gone wherever you wanted, but I mean,
so Jose worked with Matthew at a brokerage called Boomerang. When RETSY was taking off, I was actually the DB at that time, and I did not like being the DB. I called Matthew. I'm like, who's good out there in the DB world? I reached out to a few designated brokers that didn't want to call me back because RETSY was a newer company. I'm like, look at our momentum. Look at who we're attracting. Look at our standards. I think we can run a company, bring in these tools, keep these standards. What do you think? And then, you know, eventually Matthew and I had that conversation where I think I tricked him into putting his hat in the ring, and he was hired like the next week.
That was a good choice.
Yeah, no kidding, right? And you guys were working together. And I know with Matthew, I think he had somebody who was just like, I don't know if they're going to come with, but like Jose has to come over here. He'll thrive.
Yeah.
Damn,
and Matt,
right.
I remember the phone call. I honestly do. He's like, hey, here's what's happening. My brother, Jan, offered me this position, and I'm going to be the designated broker, and I'm going to move over there. And he never once said, like, you have to, you know, he put it all up to me. He's like, do you want to come to RETSY? Do you want to come with me? And for me, if I'm being honest, back then, I didn't know RETSY. I didn't know the first thing about them. I hadn't Googled them. I had done zero research, but I follow people. And Matt was an amazing mentor to me in 2020. I mean, you can ask him. I probably called him 3 times a day that entire year because I was new in the industry and I was dealing with 31 transactions. I had a lot of questions. And so for me, it was about the people. I'm like, if Matt's going to be the designated broker, I know the type of people that he's going to be around, the type of agents that are going to be listening to the way he leads. That's who I want to be a part of. And that's when I made the transition. And through that, of course, no, thank you. You took great care of me in that year, and I can never repay you. Well, now you're seeing your dividends, but I know that in 2020, you were not getting like any splits or anything. I was like, I'm sorry, Matt, but I need help, and you're the broker.
I created what I started calling the Jose rule after that, actually, which is brand new agent coming on. You started a 50-50 split for your first 5 deals.
Oh, geez.
Because it's going to be a ton of work. And, but I mean, dude, you absolutely crushed it your first year. I mean, like, it's just so impressive. Your first full year in real estate. And it wasn't even really a full year.
No, 3 months of that was still part-time.
Yeah, exactly. So
that was actually like, one of my breaking moment in the industry. So check this out. It was March of 2020.
Yep.
I had just sold my first house. I bought my second home, so I put, a good down payment down. My mortgage payment just went up. I put a big down payment, so I didn't have a ton of money put away. I have a 3-month-old daughter. I just told my parents, hey, guys, at the time I was like, hey, I'm going to leave this job. I'm going to go work full-time in real estate now because I see a future for myself in that industry. And that same week, the world shut down.
Yeah.
And I said, holy shit. Oh my gosh, what did I just do? I just made a huge mistake. I just lost my safe, reliable pay. There's no one to push me. Like, it's just all me. And for me, that was the sink or swim moment. It was like you fell or you push all the way forward. And then I propelled forward. And that's what led me to, finishing that year with the 31 transactions because I had no choice. I told myself there is no plan B. You're not going back to that, and figure it out. Now, then thankfully the COVID market happened, and well, we're here today.
Yeah, here we are.
Yeah, and everything's double the price now.
Yeah.
Thank you, COVID.
Yeah, you can't pull off what you could buy in 2019 anymore.
No.
Through that transition as well to RETSY is how the Reyes Group came apart, and so when the team formed, some of the guys at the previous brokerage came with me. Some of them left. If you remember, there was a few agents that just went a different direction. I'm sure they're regretting that decision as well. But through that is how the team formed, and we've gone through a few agents here and there in the last 4 years. But I can say that I'm surrounded by a good, solid group of guys that I help mentor, I help grow, and I truly do love seeing them succeed. It's like,
yeah,
it's just, there's nothing that can really gratify you quite as much as seeing somebody else crush it.
You as a mentor, though, it's been, here, this is kind of a unique thing within RETSY. It's always this mystery of like, who do we let in and what's the sales volume, this and that. But RETSY is an extremely team-friendly brokerage. So there is no sales standard or amount you have to sell or this and that. If a team wants to bring an agent on, as long as they have a good reputation, of course.
Yes.
A lot of the newer agents that are joining a team to learn from a professional like you, they don't have a reputation yet, right? Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure that reputation is stellar, right? We don't restrict anybody from building their teams. And I know you've taken some agents and taught them processes and systems, what you learned in the car sales days that you carried forward and utilized in your life. And a lot of these people, a lot of newer agents, they've never seen anything like that. They've never had that structure. Mm-hmm. And I remember back from my Tom Ferry coaching days, it was just like, you either had agents that thrived with structure or ones that were just completely unorganized and needed that structure, needed the motivation to get them there. So taking into account building your team, within RETSY, what tool systems did you like the most? Did you use the most and you found the most benefit out of? And then, how do you pick somebody for your team? Like, if somebody's listening to this and they reach out to you, like how do you decide who you want to mentor and train?
Sure. Sharing every system and every tool that I have with my team is, I think, a non-negotiable from the very beginning. I don't like holding on to stuff that helped me thrive. So immediately I have a whole onboarding process that I make them go through within myself. And I know that RETSY has a great onboarding process as well. Well, I have a team onboarding process with the tools and websites and things that I do. I have, fix and flip calculators, multifamily underwriting calculators that I've done and used, and all kinds of great tools. And so I go through them one by one. My favorite ones are, of course, Lofty. I think our CRM is amazing. I've had it since it was Chime, and I use it. I have smart plans. It's much more than just a place where you put your clients. Honestly, I still underutilize all the things it can do, but the things that it can do have been really effective. And I still have the struggle with some of the team members not being quite as endeavored to be engaged in Lofty, but we're working through that. And in fact, now we're doing weekly check-ins where I'm just going through Lofty and seeing their leads on there and seeing what I can do to move the needle and help them out with those clientele. Now, in regards to the team, I have now set my own Jose rule, Jose 2.0, that I made them. I wouldn't say it's a mistake, but I've made the decision in the past to hire agents that have zero experience. Like they just got their real estate license. And I said, you know what? I'm going to teach you everything. Well,
Sometimes clean slate's better too.
I agree.
Uncorrupted.
Exactly. They have no bad habits. You can kind of form them how you want to form them. So that's exactly the thought process that I had. But through that, I'm a father of 3. I'm a husband. I'm a team leader. I have my own business. I take care of my health. And so there's so much on my plate already that I said the time commitment that it takes to take someone from 0 to even level 1 and level 2, I don't have that time and capability anymore. And so I've now set a rule within my team that if anyone who's listening wants to join, the perfect agent that I'm looking for is someone who's doing 10 to 12 deals a year, call it $5 million in volume. They have their systems down. They have a clientele. They do a decent job in touching base with their clients. Those are the people that I want because I can help them double their volume. I can help them get in front of more people. I can analyze their entire system, pick it apart and say, hey, here's what we're going to work on. Check back with me in 2 to 3 weeks and see if that works for you or not. Because these are the ones that now that I've gained more scale as being a leader, not just a real estate agent within my team, I can pick apart and really quite easily find some of the defects in how the agents are running their business. And, I recently had an agent who is exactly everything I just said is exactly who he is. And he'll be joining the team soon. And, he's exactly in that position where I was able to point out so many flaws in the marketing or social media or the past sales, the way they operate on the MLS, off the MLS. And I can really help, I think, individuals like that grow.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how you dive all the way into the CRM. I know within you use we offer 3 CRMs technically at RETSY to our agents. The reality is like the best CRM is the one that you're going to use, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, like the one that you actually stick to.
Sometimes it's Apple contacts on your phone keeping track of stuff on pen and paper. I know some really successful agents in the industry that have their systems, but I love that you dive in and you have them do that because I love telling agents this, but the most valuable thing you can have when you decide to retire from this industry is a database full of people that know you, love you, and trust you and believe in your brand so that when you do hand them off to somebody, they realize this is like Jose Reyes' standard, right? And they trust you, right? And if you don't have that, you really have nothing in this industry. So that's why it's like, we have some people that love to use our Rechat tools. A lot of people transition to the new luxury presence tool. But Lofty, it has so much in it. And it's like, if you use it, you get back what you put in, right?
Exactly.
And I'm kind of a hybrid. Like I'll use one thing for my website and I'll use one thing for my emails. And then I have a system for tracking and retargeting all my past clients so that I always stay top of mind. But that works for me. And my personality, it's like I'm always doing 5 things at once, but never one thing at a time. It seems like I'm always wearing a few hats. My new EA, Sydney, she's just like, she's made it through her 2nd week, so I think she's going to stick in it with me. But she gets a little taste of everything, and it's super nice to be able to delegate some stuff. But in her understanding that team and that dynamic, she understood what it takes to be successful in this industry. Because everybody watches our Instagram and thinks we all drive nice cars and wear nice clothes and sell homes. And it's just, there's so much work involved in every single transaction and experience that you bring to the table. So, yeah. Well, Matt's got the list of questions. Let's dive in.
Yeah. Actually, before we dive into some of the questions, I wanted to talk about, and we won't name the name of the other brokerage, but we'll just call them MLM Brokerage. So
MLM 2.0.
Yeah. So
MLM are like
you have a little experience with MLM Brokerage. Would you share that?
Yeah. I was with I was around, I think, 2 brokerages before I joined Boomerang with you. And it was exactly at the time, again, I was new, naive. I didn't know much about it. And so I joined that brokerage with these promises of growth and mentorship and all these great things that a mentor is going to do for me. Well, it wasn't until I was in it and I had trouble with the transaction. I'm trying to call my mentor. I'm like, hey, I have this situation. What do I do? No answer. Text him, no answer. And I just couldn't get a hold of him. And then you go online and he's over here saying, hey, come join us at XYZ brokerage. And so then that's when for me, it was a very, I mean, I shouldn't say very, but it took me 4 months to like open my eyes and say, oh, okay, this is nothing more than just a recruitment platform. And I don't want that. I'm not the guy who's going to go out there and just pitch everyone to join a company to benefit myself. Like that's not who I am. And so I quickly left that. It was just a very short time there. And then I made the transition over to RETSY.
Yeah, when Matt was telling me that story, I'm like, no way. Like like those companies. I mean, like that was always the big pet peeve. That's why RETSY's done so well, is those companies are out there. So I'm kind of thankful for it. But I mean, like if you're going to go to they call it an MLM, multi-level marketing company, where it's just like you're brought in the door, right? You're not trained real estate. You're just trained to recruit anybody that can fog a mirror and put them in your downline and build it up. And then maybe someday you get a couple grand a month from all these people that you've recruited that don't sell any real estate, except for maybe a few of them. And it's just like you're surrounding yourself essentially with mediocrity, and you're also watering down whatever could be there of a system, right? So they don't really provide much. They provide a very, very smooth process of onboarding people in bulk. Like, I mean, I have some great people I respect in the industry that will recruit 5,000 agents a week into their company, but that was the exact opposite of what we saw for RETSY. I wanted to have a very, very potent product that was buy invite only, that when we did let somebody into the fold, like that product was productive for them, whether it be using the graphic designers or pay-per-click technologists, or using our ad tool or our retargeting tool, or focusing on building a geographic farm, or using one of our CRMs or our email tool that targets top producing agents. Like, we wanted the best of the best. But the problem is if you just open the floodgates and recruit like 3,000 agents, the product just completely goes to shit,
Yeah.
And it was interesting to hear that, because it's like there are those agents out there that, I've said this many, many times, that will step out of the $200,000 G-Wagon wearing a 3-piece suit, but could give two craps about the logo on their card. And I wanted to make sure within RETSY that logo on the card actually means something, that means quality. And I mean, 4 years later, we're getting some validity in that. And I get compliments from my peers in the industry that are not with RETSY of like, hey, like, look at the agents you guys have. They're some of the best professionals in the world. They pick up the phone, they respond to things. They don't do the stuff that we see in the industry. Like, I know I had a couple team members out of town last week, and I prepped for a showing, got there 10 minutes early, got the lights on, had to do it all, to help out one of my... I did last week. I did last week.
Oh, geez. I know. Wow. Professional light switch guy over here.
But like, I'm not as accustomed to this, so I think I just got really bent out of shape. But like, confirmed with the agent, we're good. The minute before the showing was supposed to happen, she texted me. She's like, yeah, you know what? They changed their mind. They don't want to see the house. And it's like, I'm like, you didn't even drive by. Like, this is the coldest I can see. I'm like, I took a half an hour out of my day to, it was just unbelievable.
That
I'm
is
just
so
like,
unprofessional.
She happened to land on a list that will never make RETSY.
Oh, wow. Good. See, it's people like that we just need to keep out, quite honestly, because that in our industry, I've said it to Matt, I've said it so many times, the most frustrating part about our industry is other realtors. And sadly, I feel like there's the majority of them can be like that. And I don't feel like that one bit at RETSY. I feel like we have a really good group of people. Yeah,
and it's just like, I tried to take a moment to coach this agent. She was just so quick to hang up on me. It was just amazing. I was just like, But that said, it's like that's exactly why we built RETSY, is to stay away from that. Or like the agents at those companies that will call you to preview a house, and they don't have a client there. They're just there to chat with you and hope that you'll come to a recruiting meeting. It's just like, it's the biggest pet peeve. So yeah, we're fighting a good fight right now of trying to keep professionality out there in the industry and make sure that, we attract the best, work with the best. And I mean, you've been in those RETSY rendezvous meetings and the RETSY roundups. I mean, you look around the room there, right? It's just, these are people that elevate your game.
Yeah.
So
that's one of the big things I love about it. And for me, like, and my next step is really, I just know that I'm at the right place, Going back to what you said, though, I totally agree with what you're saying. And even for a moment there, I used to believe that it doesn't matter where you hang your license, people want to work with you because of you. And part of that is still true.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, at some point, branding will matter and where you're at will matter. And if you are not somewhere reputable, or where a client happens to Google XYZ brokerage and they see nothing but negativity online, they might not want to work with you. Or if they do decide to work with you and things don't go so, look at them, they're just with this company. And so I have also seen recently, I've had conversations at the gym here and there where I mentioned I'm with RETSY, and I'm starting to finally hear, oh yeah, cool. That's awesome. And before it was like, who? And now it's like, oh yes, people are catching on. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's taken us some time, but we're getting there.
I'll admit, we leaned a little bit on that Forbes brand out of the gate. It was like when we were a new brokerage, a lot of people didn't understand the name. We were growing, we were coming up, and we had that call from Forbes out of the blue where they came into town to actually partner with another larger luxury brokerage. They looked at our price point, they looked at the agents that were part of our company, and they looked at our sales trajectory, and we had a really great conversation. And they brought a lot of things to the table, and the same value proposition of like, all right, we are the real estate division for Forbes. Forbes is a media company. They generate eyeballs, and they want more listings like the listings you have. So it's a symbiotic relationship. Why not do it, right? And I think it took one meeting with the partners, and then the next thing you know, we were the exclusive market partner for Forbes Global Properties in Arizona.
And the only one.
Still the only one, right?
Yeah.
But that said, it's just like, I am a believer in brand, but also like everything we do at RETSY behind the scenes, most of it's for eyeballs, right? Like what will get the most eyeballs on your listing to make sure that it will sell for. Eyeballs bring you showings bring you offers get you the highest number for your sellers, right? And, there's a lot beyond that, but I want to make sure that the principles are done in the background within the company. And I know you've done a lot of stuff in different neighborhoods. Have you ever gotten a listing from a postcard we sent out, or, like an ad campaign? Or
Yeah. Did you share the story with him, Matt, about my home in Ahwatukee?
No.
Well, listen to this. I don't think you know this story, but my third property that I've owned personally, I actually bought direct to seller, off market for $300,000. I ended up helping her relocate into a different property. So I helped her buy another property. I then renovated the entire thing in Ahwatukee and ended up priced for $550,000. I ended up living in it for 2 years. I moved out, and now it's a rental property. And that entire thing came from the postcard.
Wow.
She got that in the mail because I sold a townhome in the same community, in the same subdivision. She received this. She made a phone call. She happened to call one of the best closers in the game. So I go to her house, and then boom, I still own that property today. And that came from a postcard from RETSY. So
that's awesome.
Thank you guys for that.
And you're practicing what you preach, right? Own the investment properties.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing to say is buy it, rent it, and forget you own it.
And my tenant pays me 2 weeks early, if I might add that. Yeah.
Not all of them do that.
I'm the most amazing tenant over there, and I could not be happier with that decision. But yeah, that's the RETSY, the many tools that they offer. First of all, I love the RETSY Connect website because it has everything on there. I've actually been using that quite a bit. But I have been, first of all, I'm a huge fan of Rechat. I have been using it a lot lately. We sent out 2 campaigns yesterday to 4,000 agents on 2 of my listings, and we see the clicks, we see the engagement. I get some responses. Does it have an HOA, this, that? And so I'm actually getting some hits from it. We've yet to see some of the results come from it, but we're getting hits. And so all of the tools that RETSY offers in exchange for what we pay to be here are an incredibly good deal, in my opinion. And so we were looking at Lofty, and Lofty alone was like, I don't know, $500 a month for a solo agent, and it's included within the RETSY membership. And so I think for what we pay, at the brokerage and everything that you're getting, the people you get to be around, the mentorship you get to have, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, what Jose is saying is like RETSY is a traditional split brokerage, and we don't believe in nickel and diming for everything you do and how you do it and all that stuff. We just try to include everything we can, and every one of our tools is used by the partners, advisory board. I mean, there's nothing that we put on the table that we haven't fully vetted. I mean, I don't know if you're at the recent Rendezvous, but the new spot check tool, or basically Carfax for homes and stuff, vetted. I had to kind of do a little bit of work to get all my partners on board for that. But once I got them all on board, I mean, it's going to be a really valuable tool for the agents. and also your clients and stuff, and giving you the history and the background, like basically your full Carfax, right? Coming from the car industry, I mean, you had to get a Carfax on everything, right? For homes, and now RETSY agents can provide those to all their clients.
It's funny. We was doing an inspection before this, and the client asked, "Can we look into whether this was permitted or not?" Because they converted the garage into a bedroom, and I looked at Nolan. I'm like, that RETSY tool is going to help us figure this out.
Check
like
shows
this.
you right there. Yeah, it shows the
Instead
permits.
of having to go dig through the city of Tempe and go through all that nonsense, it's all in one spot for a client like that.
The crazy thing, I had a fresh permit on my house because we were doing an addition when we were first testing this tool. I mean, the permit was maybe 30 days old, and it still showed on the tool, like addition, how much it was for, tax records. It was just, I mean, everything was on record, and I love data, and I love when we can empower our clients with that data and give them something they can't get from another system. It's like my biggest pet peeve is they have another app up and they have all the info on the house before you even get there, where this tool gives you that. So real quick on Rechat though, I know you're diving into it right now. The best thing to do when you send out that email is look at who opened it and how many times. It took me a little while to figure that out, but we had a couple listings that we had sold, and it was always one of the top 4 people that opened and clicked on it like 10 or 12 times.
Really?
So, and I was starting to think to myself, well, geez, like maybe I should have called all of them ahead of time. Now that's kind of like common practice for our team. It just became recent in the last couple of weeks of like go through, see which agents open it, because that tool will target all the top agents in that area, right?
Right.
But you don't know who has a buyer for that house until you go into the analytics and you're like, oh, well, this buyer, like let's say the buyer's agent was Shauna, right? Like Shauna opened it 13 times. Maybe I owe Shauna a call before she sees it go pending, right? Vitally important for creating multiple offer situations and doing the best for your seller. We're going to do a training on that. I got to remember to write that down and bring that up in the next roundup. But we were testing the tool and found that, and I'm like, this is great. So,
wow. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I'll for sure be using it.
Yeah. So let's dive into a few of these questions. My favorite question on here, and I know it's probably going to be repetitive because it's going to be on every podcast, but if you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Reach out to your clientele more. I feel like I did do a good job. I don't think I'm doing it enough. We have client appreciation events. Yeah. We have pop-bys. I have the monthly newsletter. I have, I'm friends with almost all my clientele on Facebook and Instagram. I like to stay in front of them that way as well, and they're highly engaged. But I feel like if we could just do more for them, whether it's an additional client appreciation event and partner with our lenders and title companies, whether it's just nothing, maybe even nothing quite as crazy, and organized. Maybe just like, hey, let's have a happy hour. Hey, go do a movie. I see other agents do it, and I always think, man, I need to do more of that. So if I could go back in time, I would double down on the client, putting my face in front of my sold clientele way more than I'm doing. And I don't think I'm doing bad, but man, if I just did it 2 or 3 times as much as I did now, I feel like I would see a ton of more business come from that.
What was your best client appreciation party you held? What'd you do?
Pumpkin patch at Encanto Park, and we had
good idea.
We had the hay bales. We had a bar. We had I'll get to it. Don't worry. We had a cover. We gave away raffles. We had face painting. My title company was checking everybody in. A bounce house. Like, it was pretty cool. It was awesome, and we had a good number of people show up. And then it started pouring. And Matthew was there. Yeah. He remembers that. Yeah. Him and Jennifer went, right?
Yeah.
You brought the kids.
Yeah, we brought Beckham.
Yeah, it just started raining so hard. And I was like, oh, gosh. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, why did I pick this day? And I almost canceled it because I knew the weather was changing. But it ended up turning into quite a special moment, in my opinion, because then everybody went under the cover. Yep. I didn't stop the show. I was like, all right, we're about to begin the raffle now, guys. So cuddle up because someone's going to get a new TV. And then we just had fun with it. We had the speaker going that was going in and out a bunch of times, but it ended up turning into quite a mess at the end, but it's memorable. And no one will forget that. And when I talk to those people who were there, they're like, when's the next pumpkin patch, Jose? Because that was quite fun.
Yeah, I love that you did that. When I worked at Geographic Farm and I told people, like, do community events in your farm, like around Halloween, you should do a pumpkin patch and buy, 50 or 100 pumpkins and, have people RSVP and pick up their pumpkin. Like, I just love that you, like, implemented it. And it's so cool to, like, be invited and go and like see it in practice.
Exactly. Well, and as you know, I'm a huge family man. I mean, well, at the time then, I only had 2 daughters. I have 3 daughters, and
Wow, so you have to sell a lot of real estate. I mean, you got college and weddings to pay for.
I know. One of them
like,
started
now
kindergarten.
I get it. Like, now I get it. I'm like,
One of them just started kindergarten. The second one's super sassy, and even the baby's getting that little attitude. And so I know what's ahead of me, and I have no choice again but to just go all the way. But a lot of my clientele, younger parents, they had kids, of all age groups. And so for me, it just made sense. I like family stuff like that, where we can just have the kids go crazy, the parents are hanging out, having a beer with one another, getting to know each other a little bit more. And through that client appreciation event, 2 clients right then and there, or not right then and there, but 2 clients who were there ended up doing another transaction with me in the next 12 months.
That's huge. I got a good one you can rip off and duplicate.
Please.
I want anybody to. Right before the holidays, everybody wants to get their holiday photos. So I reached out to, through Arcadia Living, we have certain photographers that are trying to make a name in that neighborhood. So I reached out to all of them and asked them to basically donate their time. And I did a client appreciation party, and all donations went to, I think it was the Colleen's Dream charity back then. And, no suggestion, just whatever you feel's good. And I know we had pies there, and we took their holiday photos. And we had hundreds of people that came to Arcadia Park, 3 photographers in different areas with different back sets, the photos. And I had so many clients that even like 3 or 4 years after that event, this is back in the launch days, even after that event, they're like, you're always top of mind because we always have that photo in the photo frame, like on our counter or this and that. And they remember it. What's crazy is like I have one of those frame TVs, and one of the screensavers is my family photo from that day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's like watching like, okay, we're one less dog, and now my daughter's taller than my wife, and Warner's still got the curly hair shaped like a broccoli, but like all the kids right now, they all get the same haircut.
That's a great idea, though. Yeah. I mean, people love professional photos; they love sharing it. And I just think about the social impact that's going to have when they share it with their friends and families. They're going to say, "Hey, look, this came from Chris Morrison."
You go to a quinceañera, you go to bar mitzvah,
why'd you say quinceañera first?
Did I say? No. Well, I just got back one from one. That's top of mind. I just got back from one. This is why it's top of mind. Is like they had the photo booth there. They had the spinning thing, and it's just like you take those photos, and of course they give it to you on paper. And the first thing you do is you take a photo of it on your phone. You have the location, so you can bring it up and you can remember it. But it's something you take with you and you always remember. Yeah, I mean, this one was like off the hook. Like this guy had this guy on stilts dancing, and the bar opened for 4 hours at the Arizona Country Club, and they went all out. Like
everyone's going crazy with quinceañeras today. It's like,
oh my gosh,
they're spending like 6 figures. It's like a wedding. Like they're spending like 6 figures to do like a full blown out quinceañera.
I thought I knew, but I did not know. I had a blast though. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah. All right.
Well, do we tell the broker story?
So, we got a couple minutes.
Yeah, so we have. So what we've been doing is I've been telling crazy broker stories.
Okay.
So in honor of Jose being here, I'm going to tell a story from our days at Boomerang. So this was actually my transaction, and I think it was before you. So I actually put Dad under contract on an investment property in April of 2019. And it was just the wildest transaction because everything was good as a bankruptcy deal. Everything was good. Bankruptcy had approved the sale, all set to close. We're ready to go. And a week before closing, the seller fills out their opening paperwork. They had waited forever and ever. And Kelly at Title wasn't worried about it because there was a deed of reconveyance filed against the property. So she thought she owned it free and clear. We're good. Like, I don't really, it's not super urgent, but she needed to get it. And she finally got it a week before closing. The seller had filled out their loan information. And so Kelly's like, well, wait a minute, you have a loan? Because on title, they had a deed of reconveyance filed. What had happened is the lender had meant to file a deed of reassignment because they had sold the loan to a new servicer, but they inadvertently filed a deed of reconveyance.
Oh, wow.
Explain to everybody listening what's the difference between the two.
So the difference, a deed of reconveyance is what you get once you've paid off your mortgage. And the mortgage company no longer holds a lien against your property. You own it free and clear. That's what you're going to receive. A deed of reassignment is, Bank A selling it to Bank B to handle the servicing. And so the bank made an error, and apparently the seller thought, it's a really big error. But at the end of the day, legally, she still owes that money. She's got to pay her mortgage.
Yeah.
She thought it was monopoly. Bank error in your favor. You windfall $180,000, whatever her mortgage balance was.
That's what I defaulted to. I was like,
yeah, that's not
community chest.
legally, that's not how that works. And at the time when the transaction was going on, I tried to have a conversation with the other agent and was like, hey, you and I both know how this is going to go. The mortgage company's going to step in. She signed a mortgage. She's going to have to pay her mortgage. Can we just get the seller to agree to just let title pay off her mortgage and get this thing closed? The seller was absolutely steadfast. Nope, I'm not going to do that. And the buyer, Dad, is incredibly patient. So
Willing to grind things out.
yeah, for sure.
And he did.
And he did. And so we issued a cure notice because the seller didn't close, and we just sat on it. We sat on it for about 3 to 6 months, tried to work it out with the bankruptcy attorney, tried to just get this deal closed. After about 6 months, filed a lawsuit for specific performance. So now we're in about January of 2020. And, that lawsuit gets started, then COVID hits, delays everything. Pushes it all the way out to finally, I think it was November or December of 2020. The court finally heard the case. Seller was dead wrong, had to sell the property. And the court forced the sale and ordered the sale to happen.
So without her signature, the court can force her to sell.
Correct. Yeah. If she had
Signed a contract.
yeah, she had X number of days to sign the closing documents. Otherwise, the court was going to sign on her behalf.
I see.
Essentially.
Okay.
And it was, and just remember the timeframes. We put it under contract April of 2019. The closing didn't occur until December of 2020.
Jeez.
So obviously a lot of gained equity, equitable interest in the property with the contract. So huge windfall. It was just an absolute wild transaction that just took forever, that I think 99% of buyers would have thrown up their hands and canceled and got their earnest money back 10 times over. But grinded it out, and it obviously
shout out
paid
to
off.
Sachs Tierney on that one.
Yeah,
They were
Sachs.
very patient.
They were very
and
patient and
very fair on the billing, and got the deal done.
The attorneys.
Yeah, the attorneys.
Nice.
Yeah. That's the beautiful thing about our brokerage is we have several law firms that we work with that are some of the best in the industry. And
Yeah, we've sent Michael quite a bit of referrals throughout the years.
he's great. Yeah.
That's the definition of patience, spelled with a P-A-Y.
Yes.
Because your dad made out real well when he saw the value probably double. Well, maybe
What did he end up
40%.
doing with that? Did he sell them?
Yeah, he bought it. We were buying it as a rental. He's going to buy it as a rental and just hold it.
Did he remodel a little bit and then sold it?
He painted it and put new flooring in and sold it.
What a slumlord.
Did pretty.
Yeah, right. Everything after COVID, like, just doubled in value.
And it's probably sold within 24 hours too.
Yeah, off market.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So it was absolutely wild transaction, and it's just common sense didn't prevail, and it should have, because it certainly didn't need to go on that long. All ended well for
We
the
see
client.
that time and time again. Sometimes on the receiving side, the giving side is just like you make the money you make because you tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And by the time it was too late, but I've seen that before. Yeah.
So
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's
Well, I
quite
know
the story.
Jose's got a hard stop coming up, so any
Yep.
last
I got
questions for him?
about, like 6 minutes.
yeah. So well, real quickly, I do want to just touch on, where do you see the Arizona market in the next 5 to 10 years? Just your take on that.
Well, I grew up here, and so for me, it's like we see the data. We know that Maricopa County's been the number one leading county in growth for many, many years in a row now. And so the data shows that we're growing and the construction is happening nonstop. But where I really like to base my opinion off is every time I go to the store, it's packed. Every time I go to Costco at any time of the day, it's packed. My favorite brunch spot that was a 20-minute wait is now an hour and a half wait. And this is on season, off season. And so for me, I see it. We see the construction happening left and right. And so I think that the Arizona market in the next 5 to 10 years is going to be like Denver. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Denver market.
Yeah.
I lived in Colorado for a year. And so when I moved there, a lot of my friends out there, were, they used to, like, oh, great, another transplant. And I was like, tell me more. Who am I? And so they ended up telling me that after they legalized pot, everyone went to Denver and said, oh, well, the weed's legal here. And then they realized, wait, there's way more to Denver. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. You got mountain skiing, fishing, everything. gorgeous neighborhoods, and they exploded the real estate values over there. I feel like the secret's out about Arizona, that we have amazing weather 6 months out of the year. We have amazing restaurants, amazing amenities. We're an hour and a half from skiing, 3.5 hours from the beach. And so I feel like the secret's out and everyone's going to come over here. Or, I mean, they already are, but we're going to start seeing more and more growth. So I just see it growing exponentially in all parts of the valley. I feel like the centralized homes are still going to obviously hold their value the best. But I just feel like it's just an upwards growth trajectory nonstop.
Yeah. Do you remember that clickbait story by the Wall Street Journal about us like running out of water in a city or this?
Oh,
and
yeah.
That? It's like, and do you remember when I brought in Central Arizona Project to speak to our agents about our water supply? I mean, not only do we have everything you talked about, but we have 100-year supply of water, guaranteed supply and backup. So it's just like, I'm in the same boat as you. I'm very bullish on our market, and I've seen it during the hard times. I've seen it through the boom times, but the number of people moving into town, and not only that, but I mean, we see it on the ads that we place for these properties that you guys list. And it's like the amount of clicks moving from anywhere from like Cook County, which I learned is actually in Chicago. I don't know why I thought that was in California, but I mean, like the Chicago feeder markets to the California feeder markets. And I think it's going to get amplified. And, you know, we talk about a lot of stuff after COVID and how prices have pretty much doubled on just about everything, especially cost to build. I'm doing a remodel addition right now, and I'm looking at the air conditioning system I had to swap up, which is essentially the same thing that was in there, but a little bit larger. And what used to cost me $6,000 to $8,000 to put in is now $12,000 to $13,000. I just can't wrap my head around it. My builder, who's also one of my good friends I go fly fishing with, he's like, bro, everything's doubled since COVID in price.
Yeah, labor, everything has gone up.
Everything. The guy that cut the bricks to the guy sticking the bricks to the tile, like everything's double. Like everything. It was just amazing to me.
I think it's a result of just good quality, you know, employers and employees coming out here. Like with TSMC, they're going to put up a 10,000 job, high-paying jobs. They're going to obviously get some in the construction in the beginning, but then once they're in, like the execs, some of the engineers, like it's TSMC. Almost everything that we're using right now has a chip, and it's all going to be built within 15 miles of here. And so, you know, that's huge for Arizona. I think a lot of people are not realizing how big of an impact that's going to have. I don't know if you saw, but right around TSMC, they're going to build a community, like walking distance to the plant. And so, you know, that's one of the big topics that a lot of my out-of-state investors talk about, and they're very, very bullish on our market.
You look at all the big companies. Who's the company that makes tasers and all that stuff in North Scottsdale? They've been in the news a lot. Like, I mean, they're concerned. I mean, they want to build their own community for their employees in North Scottsdale, and you know, the Intel plant. We've seen the car plants coming, and gosh, like we have a family member with a company called Archify. They do a lot of BIM modeling of this stuff before it's built, and just some of the stuff he's working on will blow your mind at what's coming to the valley. So, knowing what I know, it's like definitely bullish. So, I would agree with you 100%. Yeah,
same.
Yeah.
Well, we know you got to get going, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up. But how do people connect with you? Whatever you want to share. Instagram, cell phone number, email.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very active on Instagram. I like to share what I do. I've done it from day one about everything in my life. And so I think Instagram would be a great way to connect. If someone wants to shoot me a DM, have coffee, lunch, beer, whatever your taste is, so that we can get to know each other, see if we're a good fit. Whether it's an agent, whether it's a client, that would probably be the best way. Obviously, going to my website, thereyesgroupaz.com. is another great way to see our work, our bio, my team.
What's your Instagram handle?
It's at @L_Realtor Jose. It means the Realtor Jose in Spanish. I've served the Hispanic community pretty heavily.
You're bilingual?
100%.
That's got to help with the equation, right?
Yeah, try to do an entire transaction in Spanish. It is a lot more challenging because of certain terms, you know, like in the escrow space, in the lending space. I just learned the word mortgage last year, hipoteco. Like, I've never used that word. And so it's become a learning curve for me, but you know, the Hispanic clientele has been, obviously we have a heavy presence in Phoenix. And so for me, it's been the foundation of my business. I would say of my clientele, about 60% of them are Hispanic. And I do a lot of transactions in Spanglish, which is my favorite language in the world. I just bounce back and forth. Matter of fact, I'm doing that right after this and going to go have Spanglish showings because, we just relate immediately. And once, that's like if I can just add one final thing that I really wanted to say was what really sets me apart from, I think, 99% of realtors is that I have this weird, uncanny ability to just get people to take the guard down and just be yourself around me. We don't need he's a formal realtor or he's a lender, here's a title company. Like, I'm just here to help you. I'm here to be your friend. I'm here to treat you like family. And that has yielded so many returns for me because people immediately trust me. I think of the client you just referred to me, Tammy. I mean, she called me, had some stuff going on, and me and her, I mean, we're cussing, we're just like hugging. We say, I love you. I have three clients who have become my adopted grandmothers. I have such a soft spot for the elderly, and we just connect. Elaine is one of them.
Yeah.
And we are just so tight. I go hug. I've had dinner at her house with Ray, and so that's like the number one thing. My wife was like, that's what really like makes you special, because people don't see you as like, oh, he's just business.
Yeah.
Business is second. My friendship is first, and guiding you and making sure that you're taken care of is my number one priority.
Treat them like family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Jose, we really appreciate you coming on, man. This is great. I pulled a lot of nuggets on it. Got to know you a little bit better now.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
No, thanks for having me, guys. I love sharing my story. It's an even crazier one if I were to give you the whole story, but we only have an hour.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for being here.
That wraps up this week's episode of the RETSY podcast. Thanks for listening. Check out the show notes to connect with Jose. If you enjoyed today's episode, take a moment to leave us a review wherever you listen to this podcast, and please subscribe so you never miss what's next. Next week, Chris and Matt are sitting down with RETSY agent Debbie Ponticus. Here's a sneak preview.
Like, even my husband was like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, why don't you just go back, and you were C-suite, you were making six figures, like, and you want to start over and you want to get your real estate license? And I was like, yeah, because I can be better than what I see out there. Like, I think my history of being in corporate and focusing on marketing can make me a better agent and can actually help me build a business. And that's why I approached it that way. I was a business builder, not a real estate agent.